Hey guys, welcome back to this Jbehave course. What we're going to do today, yesterday or on the previous video, we wrote our first story. So what we have to do now is create the steps for this story to match and run. So this class we're going to create it under this package, under the steps package. So right click, new class, and let's name it, I don't know, UI steps for instance. Here is the class that we just created. Under the package steps we have the public class UI steps. For this class to actually know that it's gonna have steps, Jbehave steps, we have to extend it. Give it a second, my computer is kind of slow. Okay, extends from the class steps that is within Jbehave core steps. So we just have declared that this class is gonna have steps. Okay, we're so far so good. Let's go back to the story. We have 3 steps. Given I open a browser, when I enter a URL, then this page is displayed. Okay, given, when, then. These words, we're gonna write them here in this steps class as annotations, which means that we have to write at given and between parentheses the actual action phrase, exactly how we wrote it. I open a browser, and between quotes, okay, like this. One thing that you must really be aware of, you have to write this phrase, it's called action phrase, this action phrase exactly as we wrote it on this story. If this has an extra space, we have to put an extra space here, because otherwise if there's like a discrepancy between the sentence here and the sentence here in the steps class, where did it go? That is gonna fail. Basically Jbehave is not gonna be able to match the sentence or the step within the story and the step within the steps class. So it has to be an exact copycat. Okay, we define the given, so now we're going to create the method for it. So it has to be public because we're going to call this method from a different class. A class is going to be placed here, mapper. So let's define a public void. Let's call it, for instance, I don't know, opening a browser. And instead of here, we're going to use Selenium to open this browser. Yeah? Most people use Firefox as the default browser. I rather use Google Chrome because, first of all, it's the most used browser, so that's why I like to use it, and it's the most, let's say, the most stable one. So that's why we're going to use Chrome on this particular test. Stop. Or pause. In order to use this Chromedriver, the first thing that we have to do is to enter to basically Google. We have to Google Chromedriver. We have to download it and place it here on somewhere on our project. I already downloaded it and put it here under source main Java. And we have to create these steps that are pretty much predefined. So this is quite let's say straightforward. I added a few things, like for instance add arguments and disable extensions, because sometimes there's a developer's plugin they used to pop up when we open Google Chrome, and it's kind of annoying. And also we told the driver to maximize this window as soon as it opens. Also to delete all cookies just in case. So basically this is the first step that we just created. Yeah, it's a given. I open a browser. Let me remind you that we are using Selenium. This course is not focusing just on Selenium, but we are implementing it for you to know, to actually understand that with Jbehave you can use pretty much anything you want, from Selenium to test UI to different libraries to test backend. For instance, as I said in a couple of videos before, we're going to use REST Assured to test REST services. Okay. Besides this, we're gonna step on the second step when I enter google.com. Again, as I told you before, we have to write the steps, the action phrase, as it actually is on the story file. But we're going to do something else. Here we're saying by default that we want to enter google.com. But what happens if we want to, I don't know, create a second test and enter to, instead of google.com, enter to, I don't know, mba.com for instance, or I don't know, Facebook or whatever. Then we will have to write like 3 or 4 different steps that are doing actually the same. So the fancy thing of Jbehave is that we can set this google.com as a parameter, and we can input the URL through the story file. So what we're going to do, instead of writing http:// and the URL that we want, we're gonna write the pound sign, the dollar sign, and say for instance URL. The rest of the action phrase is the same. So for instance, if this phrase, instead of being I enter http google.com, would have been I enter this URL and hit enter, for instance, and hit the enter key. Let's save it. Here it should be pretty much the same. I enter URL and hit the enter key. It has to be an exact copycat, just a copy. It has to be the same, with the same spaces, the same type of, let's say, uppercase and lowercase. It has to exactly match. So instead of hard coding the URL in the step, we're sending the URL through the .story file, which means that, for instance, okay, first instead of showing you an example, let's write this, and then I want to tell you how can you reuse that. Again, we said that all of these methods are public because we're gonna access them through a different class. So public void entering a URL. Okay, one thing, what is this URL? We're gonna send it as a string, so easy peasy. Inside the parentheses, we're gonna say a string URL, and that's it. That's it. Now let's call the driver that if this answers ping ping. Oh, what happened? Get string. And what are we going to send here? The string that we just defined, URL. And that's it. And that's it. It's really easy. So if we want to enter to Google, and after that we want to enter, as we said, to mba.com, we just have to copy that sentence and say mba.com. And also we want to enter to Facebook, and that's it. Instead of writing 3 different steps, we wrote just one and use it multiple times. One other cool thing, that instead of writing given when, we can make it look, I don't know, let's say more fancy and ordered. We can use the private word and given, I can also when I enter, and when I enter, and when I enter, and it's more like, it looks cleaner, let's say. Just one thing, it has to be a when. If here, for instance, instead of saying when, we write then, and here we call it through the when method, Jbehave won't find it. So please be sure that you are writing the correct annotation. You're writing the correct annotation. If it is when here, it has to be when in that story file. And finally, what did we write here? Google is displayed. Okay, maybe what we should use or do here, it's find the title, for instance. So then, what are we going to put here? Google is displayed. But let's make it generic once again for us to use it as many times as we want. So instead of hard coding Google, let's say $, title is displayed. One thing that is really worth mentioning is that here we're defining a string, because we're sending the URL and it's pretty much a string. But we also can define integers or something like that, or a different type of parameter. It doesn't have to be strictly a string. It can be an integer as well, for example, or a float or whatever. Jbehave accepts all of these kind of parameters. Okay, then the title is displayed. Let's define this public void looking for the title. This is going to be a string title, and let's import all this. Well, after importing everything, what we have to do here, we said we have to make sure that this title, this string, it matches with the title of the page. So we have to basically assert the assert equals that the expected, that is the string title, matches with the one that the driver is gonna get for us. Driver that get title. That's it. Basically, I'm gonna explain what I just did. An assert is a way for us to compare if we're finding the right things. So we're comparing, we're seeing if it is equal the parameter that we're expecting, that is title, that we're gonna write it through the story file. In this case, it's Google. We're going to see if it actually matches with the title of the page. So to sum everything up, we just basically using like, I don't know, 14, 20 lines, using 20 lines, counting the spaces and these keys, we wrote our first automated test case. Let's recap a little bit. We had on the story file, let's delete all this. Let's delete these two. Oh, damn. Let's go back and see how it was. At first, we had these 3 steps. Given I open a browser, we wrote this step. Given I open a browser, we received help from the Chromedriver within Selenium. So these pages are gonna be open in Google Chrome. Then our second step was when I enter a URL and hit the enter key. This is the second step. And just to remember, this URL, this google.com, we didn't hardcode it within the code. We just sent the URL through the story file, and we transformed it in a string in this in the step through Java. And the last step, we're comparing if Google, in this case, is the actual title of the page. So we also made it a parameter the title. And basically this is it about writing steps. This is a really simple step. On the next video, what we're going to do, we're going to create a class that is going to call the story file, the steps file, and it's going to run this test case for us, and we're going to take a look at the report that Jbehave is going to give us. Thank you guys for sticking with me, and I'll see you on the next video. Bye bye.